Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today I have a card project for you. On my team, we decided that this month's swaps would be from one of the in colors. So that's what I have, and I'd like to share them with you. So let's just get started. Okay, so here is my card swap. I decided to use Terracotta Tile, and I am using this wonderful Mosaic Designer Series paper, and the pieces that I'm using are this pretty tile pattern roses, these leaves, and some of the other elements on here, the little bumblebee and the butterfly. So let me tell you what you need to make this. In this paper, on the backs, I'm also using the Woven Threads Designer Series paper. And on the back side of this pattern in Woven Threads is this Terracotta Tile linen-y looking paper. I'll bring this up a little bit so you can see here. It's got kind of a very subtle cross pattern here, linen kind of look. So I'm using that. I'm using a white Whisper White card base, 8.5 by 5.5 scored and folded at 4 1/4. Then this piece of the Terracotta Tile DSP is 4 by 5 1/4. Then I am using some of this pretty tile paper from the Mosaic Designer Series paper, and I'm using a little bit of the Terracotta Tile scalloped linen ribbon. So I'm using a little bit of that and some sequins, and that's all we really need to get started. Now, what I did to get this shape in here is I took a 4-inch strip of this Designer Series paper. So I cut out of my 12 by 12 paper, I cut a 4-inch strip. And then I placed my paper here on this piece of terracotta tile until I was happy that I got a pattern or a placement on the card that I kind of liked, and something like this, I think. Then what I did was I turned this over, and I went ahead and put this piece of paper down here as I found it and just drew my line. So there's my line for that first piece. I drew my line here so that I knew that if I cut that piece of paper out like that, it would fit on here the way I wanted to. Then what I did was I cut that piece out. And once I cut that piece out, then I took that piece and lined it up against here, this line, to get it to come down as close as I could. And I drew this line and drew this across here, and going back and forth with that pattern, now doing the same thing here, turning this one this way and setting it down here and drawing that pattern, I was able to get 3 of these shapes in each 4-inch strips of my Designer Series paper. Again, what I did was I started by placing this like this until I was happy with where it was on the card, and it really doesn't matter. You could put it further over, you could put it further back. It's just up to you what you wanted to do, but I kind of liked that kind of a pattern, and I turned that over and I drew my lines here around that edge. Then I cut out that piece, and then I was able to take that piece and lay it along this end to get my next piece out. And this little piece and this little piece are the only waste I had. Now, I did on one of these mark what this length is. This length across here is 5 1/4, because basically that runs the whole length of this piece of DSP. So this piece here measures 5 1/4. This piece measures 4 inches. That's another way you could do it. So 5 1/4, 4 inches, and then match those two pieces up and cut across. But I found this laying it out, drawing around it, then cutting made exactly what we wanted. And so that's what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to go ahead and cut because I need to make 5 of these cards, so I'm going to need this no matter what. And you could go ahead and draw all of them on the back and then just cut them all out at once, which is like I'm doing here, only I've just got 2 on here. And I will try to put a little drawing under the thing here. And if I'm not successful at that, I will put a PDF on my blog site. But I think if you just measure it against your layering piece, it's pretty easy to get right. There we go. And of course it doesn't have to be perfect, because however you put it on there is going to be just right. So there's my 3 pieces there that are ready to go, plus the 2 that I've already made. And on this one, I cut the roses out, and I have cut both small, because there's a smaller rose in here, and the larger rose. And this one I made with the smaller rose, and this one with the larger. And I honestly think that the larger rose is more in scale with the card front. So I need to have another large rose, which I will cut out with you here. And all I'm going to do is just free one of these roses here from the paper and do a little bit of fussy cutting. It's actually a pretty easy fussy cutting job. I'm going to cut around the butterflies because I'm using those as well. So let me start by doing that. And there's a nice wide white border around this rose. So it's pretty easy to fussy cut. And in fact, this takes almost no time at all. Just to free up that little rose. And there, we've done it. So very, very simple process. Now, I also cut out some of these leaves that are on this paper, and I thought it might be kind of fun to use a little bit of each of these leaves. So I'm going to fussy cut this one out, and again, a very simple process. The only thing I liked a little bit about these leaves from the rose paper is they're a little bit smaller to start with. Now the leaves off of this paper, which comes out of the mosaic paper, are much bigger. So here's a perfect example. There's the leaf as it would be cut out in its entirety. So I'm just going to cut that out. And that is a monster leaf. And given what I need on here, I don't need anything nearly that big. So what I have done is just cut these leaves down like this, and that makes fussy cutting really easy because I'm cutting it down to the size I want. So that is it on those leaves. Now I've got my 2 leaves for my rose here, one of each kind, my rose, and then I have a butterfly that I cut out here. And again, pretty easy fussy cutting because there's nice white, large white or cream borders around all of these. And so the fussy cutting part of this is just about as simple as it gets. And there we go. That's done. There's my butterfly all done. Then I have one more little piece that I wanted to cut, and that is this tiny little bumblebee that is on this paper, and it was so cute I decided to go ahead and cut out the bumblebee. And again, very simple, but it has some of that pretty shiny tile on its wings, and I thought it added something for sparkle on this card. And so there we go. It's as simple as that. Now I'm going to set that right there. Hopefully I won't lose it between now and I put the card together. All of my pieces right up in this corner. Now then, we are ready to start assembling the card. There isn't very much to it. On the inside, I put a little strip and some stamps, and I'm going to try something a little bit different this time. So what I need is one of these pieces that I've cut, and you can see that that fits exactly right on this edge here and out into my paper. And isn't that pretty? I mean, you could leave it like that, put the strip of ribbon along here, a sentiment, and be done with it. But I wanted to add the rose because I thought it was so pretty. So what I'm going to do is put some Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of my paper here. Okay, now to put this in place, what I did was I set this piece of paper here like this, and then put this right along the edge where I wanted it to go, lined up the top and the bottom, and just put it into place. And there it is, just as simple as that. Now on the leaves, what I found was that putting the leaves in place first made the most sense. And I think I'm going to do it so that the tile leaf is more off on this paper and this longer pattern is across here, because I think it adds a little contrast. Now this one sits entirely on the tile piece here, so we're just going to add some snail here on the back of this piece and put that into place right in here. And then this piece, what I need is snail on the top, and then I need a dimensional on the bottom, because that's the part that's going to actually hang off here. And so that leaf is going to go right in here. Next, my rose, which is going to fill up this upper corner. So I need some snail along here and a couple of dimensionals on the back here at the top. So I'm going to just put 2 at the top and a little bit of snail at the bottom, and put my rose into place here. There we go. Now I have left my little bumblebee and my butterfly. And on this one, I put the butterfly off. And on this one, I thought it was interesting. When I put it over here, it kind of broke up this tile pattern a little bit, and I liked that. So I'm just going to add some snail to the back of this one and get it put here on the tile, and put a tiny bit of snail on the back of my bumblebee and put him into place right in here. There we go. Now we need a length of this ribbon to go around all of that, and I think that's going to be more than enough. And if you watched me at all, I almost always put snail on the back of my ribbon so that when I put it down, it stays put where I want it. Now here, I'm going to put that ribbon right along. Let's see if that's reasonably straight and close. Let's see. There. That should be straight. And then we're going to tighten that around the back of my card, and there we have the front of our card nearly done. Now we have to do some stamping, and I'm using Early Espresso ink and the thank you stamp from this stamp set. All right, so this is the Memorable Mosaic stamp set. Apologize for the phone over there. And here's my thank you stamp. And then I also mounted this little piece of tile work here and this little floral tile piece. Not sure which I'm going to use yet, but I wanted to do my thank you here. And I've had a little trouble with this one and straight. I keep angling that kind of down. Well, the other choice I have is to take a little strip of this, and that's what I did here because I got it all crooked. See if I can get it on this strip straight. There it is, just as straight as anything. Okay, so what I'm going to do is trim along the top here, and we're going to make a little banner. And do what I did there and cover up that one that is a little less straight. Just trim that bottom up a little bit, get rid of the hairy bits. And let's see, if I put that right there and raise it on dimensionals, I need it to go to right about there. Then I'm going to just flag this end and add that here. I'm going to set this aside for the moment. And on this, I'm going to put a couple of dimensionals here. I think like that. And then I'll need just a little bit of snail on this end. And I can straighten out my sentiment message here. So what I'm going to do is set this right down here across the bottom, and now my sentiment is nice and straight. Okay, this piece is ready to go on my card front, and so I'm going to add some snail on the back of this piece here, putting a little extra over that ribbon. And set that into place right here on my card. And there we go. Our card front is complete, with the exception of a few little pieces of sequins here, which I haven't done to that one yet either. Now on the inside, I prepared ahead of time this little piece, which was a strip from this rose paper here. Pick any corner here and cut a little strip. And then I backed it on a piece of this designer series paper because I thought that brought the inside and the outside together. And I have a little bit of blue already on the back of this one. Maybe I'll add a little bit at the bottom. And I'm going to place that on the inside of my card here, right down this edge, perhaps a little straighter than that. There we go. And then I have two choices here. I have this little strip of tile looking stamp and this little piece with the floral, and I think I'm going to use the floral. I've got my Early Espresso ink here, and I thought I would just maybe put a couple of these, and then I'm going to do one kind of off the edge down here on the bottom. And there's my decoration for the inside of my card. And that is it. A very simple, easy, and fast project using the Mosaic Designer Series paper from the Mosaic bundle, and using the Woven Threads Designer Series paper, a tiny bit of fussy cutting, and I have, I think, a lovely little card using the in colors for my swaps. You'll have to tell me what you think. I really am pleased with the way this came out. It looks like it does need a few sequins here. And there we go. They're all finished. So that is the project for today. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. There's a very, very good deal for joining Stampin' Up! Going on in July and August. You purchase the starter kit for $99 and you get $155 worth of product for your $99. And then you also get a coupon for $10 to use towards your purchases in August. I think that's a terrific deal. So basically it's $165 worth of product for $99. And the good thing about joining in July and August is that your first quarter, to make your first minimum, which is $300, roughly about $80 a month with your discount, is that you have until year end to make that first $300 purchases. And so it's a wonderful time of the year to join, and fulfilling that in December gets you into the first quarter, which is celebration and all of that. So it's a wonderful time of the year to join. In any case, if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator, or I'd love to have you on my team. Now, you can place an order at my website, www.lbedinger.stampinup.net, or through my blog, www.inkingenuity.com. And the prize draw for July is one of the big bundles in the catalog. And all you have to do to be in the drawing is place an order on my website. So again, that's it for me. Thanks again for stopping by, and I'll be back soon with more cards, more projects, and more tips. Bye.